Hey, welcome back to the Crafty Nook. I'm gonna apologize now for the dryer. It seems like it's always going. Our dryer is not the greatest dryer, so it does take a couple of rounds to get it to dry. Today, we are going to create a scrappy journal, memory keeping journal. Olive, what are you doing? Huh? What's ours doing? You want to craft? Here, come sit here. Olive, come on. Mama's working. Today we are going to create a scrappy, memory keeping, junk journal-y type journal. And we will be using this gorgeous Olive. Baby, I can't craft with you on the desk. This is why cat hair is all over everything. I can't craft with you here. So my daughter turns 15 in 2 days, and we always try to have a It's Your Birthday Day where the birthday person gets to choose everything that we do. And so she chose to thrift as her birthday shenanigans. I've got like literal cat hair all over everything. So we went to a couple of thrift stores, and in one of them I found a couple of things. I found this little teal journal that's just full of lined paper. It's coming apart a little bit, but that's all right. The cover is gorgeous, and it's WJ Record Keeping Essentials. Apparently, WJ Record Keeping Essentials are the people who invented the 3-ring binder. This came from a vintage antique mall. I'm not sure the age. I looked it up. It's probably from around the 40s, but there wasn't an exact date. So it does have some writing on it, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. Gives it a little bit of character. So I found that. There was also some stickers that I picked up, which I'm going to put in there. And then this is what we're going to use as our cover for this memory keeping scrappy junk journal. So this is a 1940s scrapbook album. It is just the cover. It is in a little bit of disarray. It's coming apart in a few places. It is a big boy. Let's see. It is about from the edge of the binding, so the actual cover itself is 11 by 14-ish, and then it's got about 1.25 inches of spine on it. Ooh, that's got writing on it. What does that say? It says, made by SPFD Photo Mount Company, USA. So we're gonna use this as our cover. It is gorgeous. I'm just gonna cut this edge off. I might cut it down just a hair. I have not decided. Oh, that is the chipboard that is textured. This is even better than I expected, now that I'm actually looking at it. Looks like there's acorns on there. Maybe like a little piece of fern. Several acorns. 7 of them. That's really neat. Anyway, so I have selected, we're gonna bind this with the cinch mini, and I might do 2 pieces of coil. And so I dug through my stuff, and I found this in a drawer that also had these and these laces and ribbons, and that kind of jogged my color palette and my brain. But in that drawer were some of these papers where I had done a little bit of mixed media on them. So I don't remember. I think this is acrylic paint on a piece of not dictionary, encyclopedia paper, like an old encyclopedia. This is on an old what you call it, can't even remember, but it's just mixed media. This is a napkin decoupage with some sewing, some Tim Holtz collage paper. I just played around one day. Some more Tim Holtz collage paper, another napkin with some sewing, like a paper ruffle, napkin, fabric ruffle. So I found these and thought, ooh, some of these would be nice. Like, I really love those two, and maybe even that one. But I thought these might be some good pieces to put into this little scrappy journal we're gonna make. I also pulled out just some cardstock, 65-pound cardstock, just a stack of it, that I will most likely use full size. I also went through my 12 by 12 paper, because if I trim this just a hair off the top and the bottom, this, like, just trim it to here, that will take a little bit off. And honestly, and then trim this paper down some to about 10, no, to right, like 11, then we'll have 12 by 11, and I think it will work. So I pulled all of my favorite paper pads out. This is a piece of vellum from Garden Party by Maggie Holmes. Then I have this, I think came from the Dear Lizzie Polka Dot Party. This one and this one just came from a Hobby Lobby pack. This one came from a generic paper pad DIY shop, maybe? I don't know. I don't remember where all of these came. But I pulled these all out of paper pads from my stash. And so I just pulled some that, this came from Heritage, I think. I pulled a few out that I thought would be a good fit. In fact, I think I might use this one as the opening page. Cut from this side so it says memory has a place for a photo. This is Tim Holtz paper. When he announced that he was and this, some of these are double-sided. Let me see. This one is double-sided. So I really like a vintagey vibe, but still bright and colorful. And I don't know if that even makes sense, but these Tim Holtz paper pads kind of have that vibe that I like. Like, I don't like grungy. I like colorful but vintage. Another Tim Holtz paper. When he announced that he wasn't going to be selling 12 by 12 paper anymore, I ordered several pieces. Then I have several pieces from Garden Party that I've just been hoarding that I decided it was time to use. So I'm going to use this cut apart within the journal, as well as this one. Then this floral is gorgeous. I think because I like a vintage vibe with bright colors, I think that's why I'm so drawn to Maggie Holmes. This one is really cute. I don't know that I'll have room for all of these papers inside of the journal, but I pulled them. And then I also have this roll of paper that I could use either to make a pocket or collage with, or use within the journal. I also have this one, which is just some florals. And then I pulled out a couple of trims out of that drawer. I have this gorgeous pink and like a dusty rose vine trim. I think I also have this in green and maybe gold. Then I have some cream colored lace, and then the same dusty rose colored lace, which I think this one is stretchy, and I might use it on the edge somewhere. And then I have not pulled my fabric down, but I thought we could do that together. But I pulled out these magazines as well, because I like to throw a magazine page or two inside of my junk journals. And so I thought one of these pages, one or two of these, would be really pretty inside. Ooh, like that one right there. Where is it? This. Yeah, I think that's the page I want out of this magazine. That one might be a little too dark. Let's see. I love these Willow and Sage magazines. I have made several things with these magazines. I like to harvest the pages that don't really have a lot of words, like a lot of the recipe still attached. Like this one has the recipe, but it's really not that big of a deal. I can photocopy that if I really wanted it. So we'll use these two. I don't want to pull too much because my cinch is just a mini, and so I don't know if there's going to be something in here, but I wanted to just take a peep. Sometimes there is. I like to use these to cut, like, harvest small things out of for my daily journal and stuff. And so what I'm looking for to harvest for here would be something with like some flowers, even something like this, but that backside isn't really my jam. So I'm just looking for a few things that maybe just speak to me, like that. That's really pretty. It's a little bright. And the back side is a little strange. Ooh, that's really pretty. The back side is weird though. I might pull it and then cover this with something else. I think that's all the magazine pages I want. These are actually nice thick pages. Willow and Sage is also that way. Kind of nice thick. These are a little bit more matte. I really do just love this magazine. Okay, so I've harvested from those. Then in the drawer with these ribbons, I have been, again, hoarding things. I don't even know where some of this came from, but it's packaging. This came from an order that I ordered something from a small business. I might pull a piece of this, cut that down. I think I am going to. Maybe. then I can put it in the journal this way and maybe even sew a flap. Okay. Put this over here. Let me save that. Don't think this is what I want to use this time, but I am going to still save it. I have this paper that came in something, I don't know what, but I've been hoarding it for a long time. This might make a good little pocket. Let's see if it'll rip. Oh yeah, really easy. It's kind of delicate. Okay. This one has some florals on it. I don't, again, have no idea where this stuff came from or how long I've had it, but I've been hoarding it for a long time. This is really lovely. It's got a nice texture to it. So I go back to work and school tomorrow. I may have to iron some of these pages, we'll see. And I am just not ready. I'm not at all ready. This is really lovely. I might save this and just for some collage fodder, maybe. I might hang on to that. And then I have been saving this envelope for forever, thinking I would make a journal out of it. Because wouldn't that make like the most lovely journal? Maybe that's what I'll do next after this. When I fill this up, I'll make a journal out of this envelope. So we'll put these back in there in this nice little package and put it away. And then one more thing. I wanted to pull some fabric down because I don't have a piece of paper this big. I could just collage something together. And I might do that, we'll see. But I want to look and see if I have any fabric that kind of, oops, matches the vibe of this, of what I'm going for, up in my fabric stash. So let me pull that down. These, while we're here, I'll just show you. We played the lottery. We did not win. But look at these photo strips. I love them all because they have the ability to make some photo strips. So these are going to go in Project Life. Fabric. Let me see. Oh, it's at the top. I still have to film a room tour, which I might do tonight after I get this made. So this box holds all of my fabrics. This is one of my favorite fabrics of all time, but I don't know that it's really the vibe. Now this might be. I think that matches well. We'll put that to the side. I have this, but I don't know about these dots. Let's see. What else do I have? Might be a little bit too yellow and too bright. Same with that. This is lovely, but it's not, it's a little bit, I don't know. Little cotton. This might work. I don't know. We'll hold on to that. I could do maybe both. Let's see. Not quite. really think I'm gonna go with the green, honestly. What is in here? Anything? Is this just a bag? Yeah, okay. Okay. I think I like this. I think I'll go with this. That matches well. We'll pull some of the papers over in a second and see if it does match the papers. If it does, then that's what we'll go with. If not, we may have to go back to the drawing board. I have some other fabric somewhere else. These are just my most favorites or most used. So let's see what we got. Let me pull one of these papers over. Here's one of those kind of parts. What do I do with that? I said, oh, I'm going to cut this part inside the journal. And then I laid it down, and now it's lost. So first of all, this is what I'm thinking about using for the inside cover. There we go. Matches that. Let's see. I think that goes. And honestly, it doesn't all have to matchy match. This looks good together. And I think that's what's most important, because this will be the very front. And I think I could use this as a pocket. All right, let's do it. That's what we'll go with. Okay. So first of all, let's get this trimmed down. So I need to get out my glass mat. So let's see, how does this work? Okay, it's just tied, and I guess this was supposed to go inside here. Let's just cut that. I don't really know what to do with those. Ooh. Yeah, this is just, it's falling apart. Let's cut some of this off. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna have to do some work to seal that back up. That back cover, this front cover is a little bit in a little bit better shape. I mean, it's not great by any means, but a little bit better. Okay. So now what I'm thinking is that I might try to cut partially through when I cut this down. Let me see. Do I care about the gap? let's think about this. Do I care about the gap? When it's all said and done, let me put these papers in. Just to kind of give me an idea. Now, it won't be quite that tall. It'll be about like that. So let's see. Do I care that there's a gap there? I don't think I do. I think I might just do it. Let's say to heck with it. If there's a gap, there's a gap. That way I don't have to damage this any further than it already is. You know what I mean? Let's see. From this perspective. I think I'm just going to be fine with it having a gap. We're going to do it. We're going to do it with a gap. Okay. Okay. So that means I just need to trim like an inch off of the cover, or the papers. I'm just going to trim this down, kind of clean this edge up a little. Do I need to cover this edge with something? Let me see. Let's see, what do I have? Okay, here we are, voice over time. I want to apologize now for my voice. I have taught for the last 3 days, like 6 or 8 hours each day, and my voice is nearly gone. But I wanted to get this voiceover done because I am in love, and I mean in love with this journal. So I dug through my ribbons and trims and tried to pick out some that I thought might really work. Here is some seam binding in gold, like a metallic gold, that I'm just trying to decide if I want it on there because I think it kind of coordinates with the embossing that's in the middle there. In the end, I don't use it. I thought I could pair it up with this lace and it really worked together. And honestly, I feel like if I was going to be turning this into a bound journal, that might have worked. But I ended up going with just a single lace, and it's not this gold or that lace. It's the one I just picked up on the side there. I'm trying different kinds just to see what might work the best. And then I think I end up pulling my, this one is the one I go with, but I have a piece of it that is coffee dyed. I pulled my ribbon back down. I think I pulled it down to put that other stuff away and decided that the coffee dyed one gave it a little bit more of a vintage, and not even vintage, but more of a older vibe because it matched more with the cover. So here I am pulling that out and I'm like, ooh, look at that. That sure is nice. I didn't think I was going to have enough. So the reason I didn't go ahead and pick that particular lace to begin with is because I didn't think I had enough. But when I get the tea-dyed one out, I realize that it's double the length of the one that is not tea-dyed, and it'll work perfect. So now I am just cleaning up my edges where I took the original binding off so that I can get it bound. I usually like to start with the back cover. That way, any mistakes I make, I can learn from for the front cover. I wonder. If I should wrap that around a little. That could have been, oops, and it'll be fine. Okay, so that's what I'll do. That one over. Should probably iron it, honestly. Okay. I'm gonna iron it and get my glass mat out and my rotary cutter. So I'll be back. All right, so I have ironed, which is not a perfect iron, and I'm okay with that, the fabric. There goes the dog. And cut out my pieces for my covers. So now that I've got both of the pieces of fabric ironed, just a rough iron, which is all I needed just to get the majority of the wrinkles out. Otherwise, they're not coming out and you're stuck with them. I am ready to adhere it, but first I have to go and do a little bit of repair on this cover. So because I cut the binding off, it left the inside papers, the end papers, kind of flapping a little bit, and I just used my 3-in-1 glue to glue that back down so that it didn't pull up. Part of the reason why I wanted the lace is for aesthetic purposes, but also so that I could wrap it around and cover that raw edge so that it was a little bit more protected. I'm also pulling the, running some glue along the back where the raw edge is, and there is a little bit of damage back there, and I'm just covering that with some glue to put it back together. So my plan for this is to use it as I don't even know, like a junk journal-y scrapbook situation. I haven't fully decided. I'm still torn on whether or not I want to add some more embellishing to the front. I have quite a bit of hardware and stuff that I could add, but I'm just adding my glue all over, and realize this is why I like to start on the back, because the execution is not always super great. And here I'm rubbing it in, which is really not super necessary. And I'm just making a mess trying to get this covered. And I think I do it wrong first. Yeah, see, it's super off, and I have to take it off and start over. I do really like this glue though, this 3-in-1 glue, because it's acetone based, so it usually dries fairly well, and it's not sticky. So when it dries on your skin, it doesn't make it sticky. And you just kind of rub your hands together and it peels right off. But it's not like that when you're adhering paper and fabric and stuff like that. So I decide now that I'm going to kind of work in sections so that I can get it aligned and glued down well. So that's what I'm doing here. I got really lucky. Sometimes this Fabrifix or 3-in-1 glue or Fabri-Tac or whatever you want to call it, when it dries, the ribbons of it sometimes dry very dimensional. And this is more of a sheer fabric, And I got really lucky that it didn't show through because I had to peel it up. So I'm just working in sections and trying to get that all adhered and glued down so that I can move on to the front cover. Alright, so I have both the front and the back cover glued, the fabric glued on. And now I am taking this lace that is tea-dyed, and I am adhering it half on the inside and half on the outside. And I realized here, oh, I have enough to do both, because I was going to use the tea-dyed one on the front and the non-tea-dyed one on the back. But I had enough, so I was able to do it all with the tea-dyed. So I'm just running a line of this glue, putting my lace where I want it, and kind of patting it down and letting it dry. You know when Fabrifix is dry because it's cold when it's wet. So once it's not cold anymore, you know it's dry. And now I'm just running the glue on the back side. I added a little bit wider ribbon of glue because it is the back and it is outside. That way it has less of a chance to peel up. And I'm going to repeat this process with the front cover. So now that I have the lace glued down, I'm just adding some glue at the very end to close up that lace and really seal in the cover. And I do that with both the front and the back, and then I wait for it to dry and trim off the excess. That way my lace isn't flapping around and it has less of a chance of coming undone. So I realized when I was listening to the previous voiceover, you can hear my car running. I'm in the parking lot at the school waiting on my child to get done with her winter guard practice, because it's nearly impossible to record a voiceover inside of my house with those dogs. So now I'm just taking my fabric shears and I'm trimming up the extra fabric from the inside. I'm just kind of cleaning up those edges, trying my best not to get my fabric scissors chopped into this cover. And so I'm gonna do that on the front and the back and just trim that up. Okay, so now that I've got my front and back cover ready, it's time for me to get these papers trimmed. So I'm just measuring, and then I'm gonna use my paper trimmer to cut them down. And I forget that I have to cut off the branding strip, and so I just do that with all of my papers that I picked. Made sure they were the right width and cut those down. I don't have to worry about the length since it is going to be much taller than the cover. I don't know what's up with my voice. I just need to sit down and not talk. So now I am about to figure out how they're going to sit in this journal, and figure out what order I want the papers to be in. I think right there I was measuring the thickness against the previous journal that I had bound with my cinch. So I don't know if I said it or not. I think I did. I'm going to bind this with my cinch. And I've never had a spiral junk journal. And we're going to see how it goes, because I'm pretty excited to use it. This cover brings me lots of joy. I'm just selecting now the color coil that I want. I decided to go with this kind of coppery color. I think it matches the vibe. And I'm getting out my cinch. So usually you're supposed to measure your paper and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't do that. I actually got super lucky. So I only have this one piece of vellum, but I chanced it. And what I did is I measured from the last line on the left of the cinch, because at the bottom there you see there's the measuring marks. So I measured on the very far left I just put my paper on that first line, and then I moved the paper all the way down and put the edge on the last line. And then I use that as my marking tool to measure my cover. Now, I should have thought about this before I added the lace, because the lace is what is keeping it from fitting in. And honestly, I just She-Hulk it into there and call it done. So you saw just now, I turned it around and stuck it in, and it fit just fine. It is the lace that's keeping me from being able to do this. If I hadn't have been able to fit the cover in, I would have rethought my whole process. But I was able to fit the cover, so I know the cinch is going to be able to handle it. It's just the lace is really thick. And I was right. The cinch did handle it. It fit it just perfectly fine. And so I'm measuring with that piece of paper again, just to make sure I've got it in the right spot. Because I am not about that math life. I'm just winging it over here, hoping that it works. So I did this for the front and the back cover and for all of my papers. So now I'm on one of my last papers, and I really just measured about where I wanted it to sit and then used my fingers to decide where I wanted to get the holes punched, or to mark where I wanted them punched, and then just took it to the cinch. And I did that with all of these small papers. This one was about the same size, and so I'm just using it to measure. Because like I said, I didn't want to have to measure my papers. Now I am trying to organize this in a way that makes sense and that is pleasing to me. And I'm just getting all my papers into the right order. And then I'm going to pull my cinch back out and put my coils on the ring holders and start adding my papers after I measure to cut my rings with my pliers. So then I measure it and add that to the cinch and the little ring holders, and add all of my papers and my cover according to the cinch directions. So if you notice here, I accidentally put my cover on backwards and had to take it off and fix it. Luckily, these coils are not really that hard to pull apart. And so it makes it super easy because you're supposed to put the back cover facing the front cover before you cinch it. And I forgot that part. So make sure you read directions and remember them. So now that I have this done, I've got it cinched, I've got it bound, and it's ready. Let's do a little flip through, a little flippy flip, and see what you think. I, again, genuinely am in love with this thing. It turned out way better than I expected, and I can't wait to start putting some spreads and working on it. So I do realize after I do this flip through that the coils are not as tight as I want them. So I did cinch it down again, and then I got my pliers out and turned in these edges so that they're not sharp. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I love it so much. I love it. There might be a part 2 where I add some corners and decorations and stuff. But for now, I think that's where I'm gonna stop. This is perfect. All right. Thanks for hanging out in the Crafty Nook. I'll see you next time. Bye.